Are you feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, and like you're just going through the motions? Well, today's episode is your wake-up call. We are talking about the royal treatment, a way of seeing yourself as a queen and treating yourself accordingly. So grab a cup of tea, sit back, and let's dive into why every woman needs a royal treatment in her life.
Welcome to the School of Self-Image, where personal development meets style. Here's your hostess, Master Life Coach, Tonya Leigh.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the podcast. You may already hear that my voice is a little different today because I've been struggling with a cold, but I committed to getting this podcast done, and here we are. And I just realized that the day that this podcast will be released is a very special day. It is my daughter's birthday. And so a big shout out to my girl, Sarah. Happy birthday. I am so proud to be your mama, and I am so proud of you. Being a mother is a really interesting thing. It's like the moment you have this kid, you all of a sudden seem to matter so much less. I know you all know what I'm talking about. And you get so busy making sure that your kids are okay and that they have everything that they need and that they're eating well and they're doing well in school and they're getting to all of their events and that they're growing up to be amazing humans. And in the process, if you're not mindful, you forget about yourself. And for some of you, maybe you don't have kids, but it's work, it's family, it's parents, it's everybody else but yourself. And you find yourself that you have put yourself on the back burner. I remember, I don't know, it's like 5-6 years ago. I've talked about it on the podcast before, but Sarah became really sick. And I found myself completely neglecting my own self-care. Between taking care of her and trying to figure out what in the world was happening and running my business, I had put myself on the back burner, and I don't know where I mustered up the energy because I was running on fumes. And I'll never forget a friend asking me, when are you going to start treating yourself like a queen? And I started to think about that one question and what it would look like, even in the midst of life, in the midst of chaos, with everything going on around me. What would it look like and feel like, and what would result in me treating myself like a queen? And that's when I began to play around with the concept of giving myself a royal treatment. I like to think of this as a beautiful reset and then a way of life. It's a whole new way of being where you think about yourself, you treat yourself, and you walk through the world with a sense of self-regard and self-respect. I mean, for a moment, imagine you being the queen of your life. Every decision, every action will flow from a place of deep self-love and self-respect. It sounds amazing, right? I have conversations with so many of you who come to me and tell me that you are exhausted, that you're running on fumes, that you don't know how you're going to get from one day to the next. And you keep putting this essential part of your life on the back burner. Between work and families and a million other commitments, you find yourself running yourself ragged. And the hope is one day I'll make it a priority. One day when the kids are older, one day when I'm working less, one day when I have more time, one day when I get the motivation. And in the meantime, you are dwindling physically, spiritually, emotionally. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes hitting rock bottom to wake you up. I have a very dear client who is in the School of Self-Image membership who ended up in the hospital with a heart attack. It was then that she had her wake-up call that she had to literally live her life differently or it was going to kill her. And I don't say this to scare you all, but sometimes a little fear can put a fire under our fannies. Sometimes we need to look at what is going to happen if I keep living like this. What is going to be the result a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if I continue to neglect my own self-care? Think of it like this. You wouldn't try to drive across the country on an empty tank. Yet so often we tackle our lives with depleted reserves. And this is exactly why every woman needs a royal treatment. She needs to treat herself royally. She needs to make her self-care a priority. She needs to stop waiting for the scraps and start putting herself at the front of the line of the buffet. And the way to do that is to decide. Decide you are no longer available for your own self-neglect. And sometimes we need a little bit of motivation. We need to have a big why. And so I want to share with you some of the reasons why giving yourself a royal treatment is so beneficial for your life. Because if we can begin to tie doing it with what we want to create in the world, sometimes that is exactly what we need to motivate us to actually show up for it. I think about a client that I had, we'll call her Sarah, and she was a total go-getter. She was working long hours. She was volunteering at her kids' school. She barely slept, but she was constantly exhausted and frustrated, and she felt like she was failing at everything. And so when we started to work together, she started to create her own royal treatment plan. And it's going to look different for all of us because what invigorates me and what energizes me may be different for you. That's why it's so important for you to listen and pay attention to your own intuition. But for Sarah, the way it translated into her royal treatment plan was she started setting boundaries at work. She started to take lunch breaks. I know, shocking. She was skipping lunch. And she started to carve out time for exercise and even hobbies that she enjoyed. And I'll never forget talking with her a couple of months later, and she was a completely different person. Her energy, her vibe, her whole way of being was different. She had more energy, she had more confidence, and she told me, she was like, I'm finally getting things done. I don't feel like I'm just running from one thing to the next, never really accomplishing anything. And she was enjoying her life more. And that's one of the benefits of a royal treatment, is that you get your energy back. You literally create a plan around the activities, the thoughts, the foods that give you energy, and you begin to edit your life of the things that deplete your energy. And this doesn't happen overnight. This is a process. But what if you removed 3 things this week from your life that is zapping your energy, and you replaced it with 3 things that give you energy? You're putting a little bit more gas in your tank to help you get to where you want to go. It's so fascinating how so many of us are so afraid to slow down. We are so afraid to take the time to take care of ourselves. We have this belief that if we do, the world is going to fall apart. Think about how crazy this idea is, because you literally need energy to keep your world together. And yet you are running yourself ragged, depleting your energy resources, trying to create what it is that you want to create, and it just doesn't work. If you think about taking a road trip, let's just say from the East Coast to the West Coast, if you don't stop and fill that tank, you're going to be having to stop for a long time. You're going to have to walk to the gas station. It's going to take up a lot of time. Maybe you sit there and wait for AAA, however you get your gas, versus taking stops along the way to refuel. Yeah, you have to stop, but you're going to have to stop eventually anyway. One is just planned. It's has more ease. It's you taking care of yourself along the journey versus seeing how far you can go before you literally run out of gas. And so it's a way to keep the sustainable energy going in your life. And here's what I have to tell you all. For those of you who own a business, and I talk with a lot of you, you are so afraid of going for your workouts. You're telling me, but I've got all of these things that are due. I've got copy to create, and I've got podcasts to record, and I've got clients to work with, and I have to do an Instagram live, and I've got a class to teach, and I've got, fill in the blank. There are always going to be things to do. And so you don't take time for yourself. And I want you to think about the result of that. How does it affect your energy level? And then what is the cascade effect of that? You don't think as clearly. You're not as productive as you could be. And all the while, you start to feel bad about yourself. Maybe you're gaining weight. You're not sleeping well, so you got bags under your eyes. You don't have the energy to even think about putting on a decent outfit for the day. You're just exhausted. You're just trying to get from one task to the next. What kind of life is that? And if you would just trust that you taking care of yourself is the energy that you need to create an extraordinary life, then maybe you would get on board with this idea. And that's what I'm offering you. It's an invitation to experiment with it, to try it out, to put yourself first on your calendar, which is exactly what I do. In fact, I will be talking about this in my upcoming workshop called The Royal Treatment. I've been running this workshop for, I think 3 years now. And every time I do this workshop, I have so many women tell me this was exactly the reset that I needed. This woke me up. It gave me tangible steps that I can begin to take to be the queen of my life and to treat myself accordingly. Within our 5 days together, you will create your own personalized royal treatment plan. And it will be doable, it will be powerful, and it will be a jumping off point for a whole new way of being in your life. And so that workshop again is coming up soon. So if you want to take this work deeper, because every woman needs this, I'm a huge believer in that. We would love to have you. You can go to schoolofselfimage.com/royal and get ready to show up in the world and for yourself, most importantly, in a whole new way. I am so excited about this workshop and I cannot wait to see you there. The other benefit of giving yourself the royal treatment is you will have increased confidence. Now, let me explain to you why. Confidence is something that you create with your thoughts, with your mind. It is a belief in your abilities. It's trusting in yourself and believing in yourself. So let's look at what happens when you don't take care of yourself. You begin to lose trust with you because imagine another person who neglects you, someone that you thought was your partner or your friend, and they're just neglecting you. They're not taking care of you. They don't show up for your engagements. They don't call you back. They don't have nice things to say to you. You don't have confidence in that person because you don't trust that person any longer. And yet, so often, that is who we are being to ourselves. And so, how does that affect the rest of your life? How does it affect how you show up in relationships, how you show up in your business? It all starts and ends with you. Think of it like this. When you take the time to take care of yourself, number one, think about what that does to your self-image. It is you saying to yourself, I matter, I love myself, and I respect myself. And if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you know the power of your self-image. How you see yourself is creating your entire life. The world is just a reflection of your own self-image. And so when you neglect yourself, think about the powerful message that that's sending to you. I don't matter. My needs don't matter. I'm not that important. I don't really respect myself. And that has a detrimental impact on your confidence. And so many of you come to me and you're telling me all of these things that you want to create in your life, and it requires a level of self-confidence to create it, but you're not starting with the basics of just taking care of yourself. Over the last year, and especially within the last 6-7 months, I have made a commitment to myself to really focus on my health and well-being. And I've been going to the gym. I'm feeling so strong. And I've been watching myself and noticing how I am feeling more confident than I've ever felt in my life. When I told my team that I was not going to take any meetings before 11 a.m. because I was going to take the time in the morning for my journaling and working out and all of my self-care activities. When I have told people no to certain invitations because they conflicted with my own self-care. When I get up in the morning, when that alarm goes off, even though my brain is telling me, you should just sleep in, you deserve it. When I do those things, and I've done those things, it just creates this deep trust with myself, this feeling of like, girl, I've got you. And that has an effect on all of the other areas of my life. So then I have more energy. And so I'm showing up for my team and for my clients in a more expansive way. My brain is clear. And so my results are better. I'm better able to make decisions. I get more done actually, because I'm not running off of fumes. And so you can see how it just begins to increase your confidence, because now your results are even getting better. All from giving yourself a royal treatment. And this just isn't a one-time treatment. This is a way of being in your life. Another benefit of the royal treatment is that it makes you more attractive. And I'm not just talking about physical attractiveness, although you'll probably find that that happens too. I remember when I was not giving myself the royal treatment, when I was basically neglecting myself, I remember looking in the mirror and thinking, my goodness, I felt like I'd aged. I lost a bunch of weight. I just didn't look healthy at all. And I know I'm not alone in this. I know some of you are experiencing some of the same things. You're like, where did that girl go that really felt good and liked what she saw in the mirror? And what I can tell you is that she's still there. You just have to take care of her. You have to bring her back to life. But when I talk about being more attractive, what I am talking about beyond that is how you feel and what you attract as a result. Because it is true that like attracts like. On my days where I have felt low energy, I notice the thoughts that I'm attracted to, and they're usually low energy thoughts. I think about the things that my brain starts to pay attention to. And without some management and guidance, it will start to focus in on the things that I think are going wrong and all of the things that I have to do. And then all of a sudden I'm getting calls from people that I really don't want to talk to. It's like I begin to attract more things to feed that energy. But when you start to give yourself the royal treatment, some crazy things start to happen because your energy is going to start to shift. You're going to start paying attention to different things. You're going to start to focus in different directions. You're going to start to have different conversations and different opportunities, and people are going to be attracted to this radiance and this vibrancy that you have about you. It is the law of attraction in action. If you were a magnet, would you rather attract rusty old nails or shiny gold coins? I'm guessing your answer is shiny gold coins. And that's exactly what begins to happen when you treat yourself like a queen. I see this all of the time within the membership. When a woman begins to see herself as a queen, she starts talking to herself differently. She stops letting excuses hold her back. She starts setting boundaries and she makes self-care a priority. There is a magnetism to that. Imagine a queen holding court. People are naturally drawn to her charisma and her presence. And so when you treat yourself like royalty, you project that same kind of magnetic energy, and people will be drawn to your confidence, your vitality, and your zest for life, that energy that you're creating just by taking care of yourself. And for the people that aren't, for the people that are turned off by it and they have things to say, they may call you a Pollyanna, they may think you're so full of yourself. Those aren't your people. If people don't like you because now all of a sudden you're taking care of you, then you need to question if those people belong in your life. You want to attract people who celebrate your essence, that celebrate your care of yourself, that encourage it. And that's exactly what will happen when you start making you a priority, when you start giving yourself the royal treatment. The other benefit that happens from giving yourself a royal treatment is that you begin to unveil your true nature. This goes beyond bubble baths and spa days and manicures, although I am all for those things. This is about you connecting with your true natural self. Think about animals. They intuitively prioritize their needs. They sleep when they're tired. They eat when they're hungry. They hunt when they need to. They stretch their bodies when they need to move. Humans are no different. You can think about babies. Children will let you know when they are hungry. They tell the world when they have needs. They laugh when something's funny. They cry when it's not. They have a natural way of trying to get care. Although as a child and as a baby, you need other people to support you and your needs. But you have no qualms with letting people know, hey, look out for me, take care of me. But unfortunately, we're socialized out of that. And the thing is, when we deny ourselves basic self-care, we disrupt our natural rhythm and we create a lot of disharmony in our lives. I remember reading a study about a group of women who were put on a strict diet and exercise program. And while they lost weight initially, most of them ended up regaining it all and often more. Why? Because the program felt restrictive and punishing. It was out of harmony with life's natural rhythm. If we just stop and tune into our bodies and tune into our souls, we all have this, number one, intuition, and we also have this internal GPS system, and we have physical cues that are happening all of the time. And in order to listen to them, you have to tune into them, which requires that you care for yourself enough to listen for what you need. And that's what the royal treatment is all about. It's not following other people's rules for you. It's not about following some program or some formula. It's about you determining, what do I need? What do I need to feel my best, to have more energy, to feel vibrant, to feel in harmony with myself? And yes, it's about listening to your body, but it's also about listening to your soul. And that's what queens do. They listen to themselves and they trust themselves enough to follow their own guidance. And it brings you back into this beautiful, natural harmony with life and with yourself. And that brings me to the last benefit of why you need a royal treatment. It allows you to build what I like to call a strong inner kingdom. This is about you cultivating a strong relationship with yourself. Because let's be honest, we spend a lot of time with ourselves. Can't really escape ourselves. We may try, but wherever we go, there we are. What do you want that relationship to be like? I want it to be one of love and respect. And that requires that you make self-care a priority. And when you do, you're sending a powerful message to your inner self that you are worthy, you are loved, that you deserve the best, and that you've got you. And perhaps that one benefit is the best of all. Because there's nothing worse than knowing that you are letting yourself down, that you don't see yourself as worthy enough or important enough to make you a priority. When everybody else becomes a priority and you get lost in the mix, it starts to break down your inner kingdom. And no matter what it is that you want to create in the world, whether you want to build your business, you want to find the love of your life, you want to travel the world, you want to write a book, you want to sell your house and downsize, no matter what it is, it needs to be built on a strong foundation. And that strong foundation is the relationship that you have with you. And when that relationship is solid, let me tell you, my friends, everything else becomes so much easier. And that relationship can only be solid if you are taking the time to take care of you. So if you are feeling like you're in a rut, if you are low on energy, if you feel like you need a reset, if you're listening to me and you're thinking, God, I need this, come and join us for the Royal Treatment Workshop, where you're going to create a plan as to how you're going to think, speak, eat, move, and delight like a queen. And let me tell you, this is my promise. When you begin to practice the plan that you create for yourself, it is going to have the most beautiful cascading effect into every area of your life. And most importantly, and I want you to hear this, it is going to up-level the relationship you have with yourself. And when that relationship is solid, again, everything else becomes so much easier. It's time for you to be your own best friend, your own advocate, your biggest cheerleader. It's time for you to put that crown back on your head and give yourself the royal treatment. And if you want support in doing this, come and join us for the 5-day workshop. You can go to schoolofselfimage.com/royal, and I will see you there. Have a beautiful week, my friends. Take care. Hey, before you go, let me ask you a quick question. When was the last time you truly treated yourself like royalty? From how you think, to how you speak to yourself, to how you eat and move through the world. And let's not forget, enjoying daily pleasures. If it's been a while, or if you're ready to take your self-care to the next level, I have an invitation for you. It's called the Royal Treatment, a 5-day workshop where you'll discover how to infuse your life with the love, care, beauty, and respect that you deserve. Together, we'll create a personalized plan to help you feel invigorated and energized from the inside out. No more waiting, settling, or tolerating your life. It's time to claim your crown and treat yourself like the royalty that you are. Are you ready? Go to schoolofselfimage.com/royal and join us. I cannot wait to share this experience with you. I'll see you there.